So I'm just so frustrated with doctors either throwing pills at me or not being able to find answers. How did you navigate that process? How did you figure it out for yourself?
Desperation, honestly. And I
Yeah.
mean, I can't say enough good about modern medicine if we have an emergent event, like you get hit by a bus, if you develop cancer or something like that.
Heart
Like
attack. Yeah.
heart attacks, like the people who survive heart attacks now versus like the 1960s, it's shocking. Like it's so good at that. Can't say enough good about that. But in 2017, there were 33,000 peer reviewed articles on type 2 diabetes in that year alone. 33,000, like whole article. And some of them are randomized control trials, other review things. But the point being, we know more about type 2 diabetes than we've ever known in history. Yet our rates of type 2 diabetes are increasing, not decreasing.
Right.
So if I'm an engineer and I'm building bridges and I learn more about materials science and physics, I'm going to make better fucking bridges. They're going to be stronger. They're going to be cheaper. It's like Moore's law, like things get cheaper and better. There's no Moore's law in medicine. Like chronic degenerative disease gets worse and worse and more expensive every year. And that is something that like the engineers and the tech people and medicine should just sit down and have this like holy shit moment. Like, how does this happen? How do we know more about everything under God's green earth than we've ever known, yet our lot in life is worse? Like we're doing the wrong goddamn thing, you know? So,
Well, the conspiracy theorists would say it's greed, it's corporate greed, and they're doing it on purpose.
and there might be a little bit of that. There's some opportunism there. Like I think that opportunism definitely, people figure out, oh, if people are sick, we can figure out ways of capitalizing on that. But you just need to have people not embrace, like, part of what I think happened is that the 20th century, interestingly, the victories of the 20th century were antibiotics, vaccines, and surgery. Like those things absolutely transformed the world. Amazing, absolutely amazing. But what are those things? They're totally prescriptive. And as the medical consumer, okay, if I need surgery, I show up and you knock me out and you do whatever, and then I do some stuff with rehab. A vaccine, I go and get the vaccine and then I motor along. And and then on antibiotics, it's kind of the same deal. It's totally prescriptive, and I am just kind of like a passenger in
Yeah,
this thing.
it's
I'm not active. Yeah. Everything that related to chronic degenerative disease, I actually have to get in and do something. Medicine will never fix diabetes. It will never fix neurodegenerative disease, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, cancer, without an active participation of the individual involved. And I'm as optimistic as anybody is about like technology and everything, but these chronic degenerative diseases are shockingly complex. And it's kind of like, I remember Paul Volcker around like 2006, and he was talking about the real estate bubble, and he said that we've offloaded risk. And I was like, that's such bullshit. Like just because you've sliced all these, mortgage-backed securities into these weird tranches and sold them off into the world doesn't mean that risk went away. It just means that it's been all welded together and hidden in a way that when the house starts burning down, the whole thing's going to be involved before you know that like one piece is on fire. And this is kind of where modern medicine is at. And so we have sold people a bill of goods, and doctors are in a position where the way that the physician has been empowered is a quick assessment. Here's your medicine, here's your surgery, here, whatever. And then you're gone. Whereas, affecting complex behavior change is really hard. It's time consuming. It's fairly expensive in time and resources. And so medicine going forward is going to necessitate a much greater interactivity between practitioners and us as consumers. I see health coaches potentially being a bigger and bigger factor there. So you go to your doctor, the doctor's like, you're overweight. And that's a whole weird thing too with woke culture. If somebody's overweight and metabolically sick, now we're being big meanies and hurting them by saying, you should probably lose some weight and get metabolically healthy. And in fact, we're killing those people. So that's a whole other bit of insanity. And that has gone into medical schools and whatnot. But to even get people to change, it's going to require billions of dollars been spent in apps and stuff trying to get people to spontaneously do to health what they did on Twitter and Facebook. And it's never going to work. We don't affect massive change like that in a vacuum, or very, very few people do. So I know that was kind of a wandering answer, but a lot of the future of medicine, it's going to be, we're going to need health coaches. We're going to need stewards. We're going to need community to be able to affect these changes. And that's the only way it's really going to happen. A few people read books like what I write, and they're able to do it and implement it and really affect some change. Very few people are able to do that. A greater percentage of people, they'll sign up for a Weight Watchers or a Jenny Craig or something. Those things are effective because you have a community element to it, and you have accountability. You spend some money, people check in on you, they care about you. Joining a CrossFit gym, joining a martial arts gym, and doing resets and challenges. Those things are effective at changing things, but the classic training of a physician is great for dealing with acute life-threatening illnesses and is completely inappropriate for dealing with the vast majority of chronic degenerative disease, which around 2007, more people began dying from chronic degenerative disease than infections and malnutrition for the first time in history. Up until that point, more people had always died from infections, malnutrition, and whatnot. In around 2007, 2008, nobody's totally sure which, but globally, more people started dying from overnutrition, from overeating, than they did from all the other stuff.
I mean, we were just sitting back, chopping it up, reminiscing about the good old days and all that, tracking my roots, where I came from.